So this mucoadhesive, this Mucosave, okay, patented ingredient, is creating that mucosal protective barrier, okay, on the upper GI tract. And then we've got aloe vera extract in here, and we have deglycerized licorice. So the deglycerized licorice and the aloe vera, we're looking at healing and soothing, because remember, I keep saying we want to prevent the scarring. Because once you get to the scarring, you can no longer have those triggers. I think people need to do research on their PPIs, their omeprazole and their famotidine, or their Pepcid and Prolosec. And just remember too, when the PPIs suppress your stomach acid, you could be deficient in magnesium, vitamin C, B12, calcium, iron, copper, which a lot of times can lead to bone issues.
Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Healthy Habit Podcast. You guys might remember this guest from episode 6 of the Healthy Habit Podcast. We're doing our monthly check-in today with Emerald Labs, the additive-free company. Stacy Faulkner is back with us today, and she's worked in the natural health industry since 2000, 23 years, 2 decades plus in this field, folks. You better get ready to take some notes. As a national educator for Emerald Labs, Stacy provides insight and understanding to those seeking information regarding better health through proper supplementation and self-care. Stacy, welcome back to the show.
Hey, good to see you, Dan.
How are you doing since the last time we spoke?
I'm good. I'm good. We've had a lot of rain, which has been really
Right.
good, but it's hard to absorb into the ground. But now it is just beautiful outside, and I'm in my little outside work shack, my pandemic
Amazing.
shack. Yep. And so look at all the birds, and yeah, so it's really beautiful and sunny, and I've been well. I've been well. How are
Amazing.
you?
So, doing great. We're
Good.
just having some fun here on the podcast and educating customers as they shop in the store. They'll be hearing this. So, it's been amazing. Well, let's set the stage for today's topic, Stacy. We're talking
Terrific.
gastrointestinal health, digestion, and then we'll highlight some specific products like Reflux Health and how aloe, DGL all plays a role here. So, tell us about why this is such an important topic to you, digestive health.
Well,
Many people are suffering.
yeah, first of all, I would say that pandemic driven, I think
Yeah.
probably as Dr. You and Aaron probably saw a big influx in esophageal reflux disorders coming
Right.
about, a lot more heartburn, a lot more less digestion. It's important to me because I actually have GERD. And
Mm.
so I have been, basically battling it on my own with these successful formulas instead of going on, and we can talk about it in depth if we have time on PPIs, proton pump inhibitors, and
Mm-hmm.
H2 blockers. So famotidine or omeprazole would be the proton pump inhibitor,
Right.
and the H2 blocker would be famotidine. And then I think the prescriptions names would be Prilosec and Pepcid. So anyway, what I'm trying to get across is it's a huge, I would say, epidemic in America, especially because the pills
Right.
are very, very small and they have a lot of side effects. A proton pump inhibitor is suppressing our stomach acid from getting those vitamins and minerals out of the foods that it's
Mm-hmm.
helping digest, right? And so those vitamins and minerals are important for what? They're important to go
Everything.
to the organs,
Yeah.
bones, everything, for everybody to be working in alignment and cohesively. So I think that if you can do something naturally, as far as not getting on these prescriptions, because they do have quite a few side effects, bad side effects in my
Right.
mind. And so, somebody that's not absorbing their vitamins and minerals, a lot of people with GERD also are diagnosed with
Mm-hmm.
osteoporosis. So my idea is going all natural, and I fully feel like I completely cured it within 2 years, specifically working with the Reflux Health and being on a strict regimen. And we can talk about what happens with GERD. And if you want to talk about your patients too and what you're seeing, we can go into like what triggers are and how
Mm-hmm.
people are being affected.
Yeah, I mean, right out of the gates, it's so common, right? Like just like you
Yeah.
said, millions of people are suffering, especially since the pandemic, where fast food consumption went through the roof and
Mm.
convenience went through the roof. And but yeah, that's where health starts, Stacy. And as it's interesting, as people age, age 50 plus, 60, 70, 80, and beyond, naturally the digestive system gets weaker. because the
Right.
stomach acid starts weakening. And
Yeah.
imagine people pounding alkaline water all the time, all day. That's also weakening the stomach acid. And so you're not extracting the food that you need, or the minerals and the vitamins from your food as well, if that stomach acid is weak. So that's really where it starts. So,
It is.
yeah, why is the reflux even
So,
happening?
okay, so it goes back to what you even just said, the
Hmm.
convenience food.
Right.
Okay, people are stressed out, so that doesn't allow for good digestion, and that's the stress and the heartburn, right? So lower esophageal sphincter, right here, the LES, right?
Hmm.
So this valve, through time, depending on lifestyle, depending on hereditary. So my mother has always suffered from it, so I can guarantee it's hereditary for me
Yeah.
too. Lifestyle. So triggers, things that would be people overdoing things are called triggers because once you do something too much and you start to create uh, inflammation along the esophageal wall, you do not want to get to the point of scarring. So this
Hmm.
reflex health is amazing. So what we're looking at is those stomach acids are coming up through the LES, the lower esophageal sphincter starts to loosen, okay, and it allows the stomach acids to come up. So that's
Mm.
what people are feeling when they're lying down and they go to bed. People were eating and drinking a lot more during the pandemic,
Right.
right? And so lot less digestion, fragmentation. And if you think about it, when you're lying flat and you haven't digested, I kind of say you're like lying in a puddle of muddy water. And
Hmm.
so that's all just coming up. And so then
Wow.
people have a really bad uh, track system of getting into deep REM because it wakes them up so much. A lot of people have to sleep sitting up. They have to wait for about 2 hours before they go to bed with after food, and that's really not what people are doing. So to prevent that, I would recommend automatically intermittent fasting
Okay.
um, from at least
Take a break.
eight
Yeah.
eight to eight. If you can do that, if you can do it longer, even better. That's really going to give a break on your liver and your kidneys and everything. Um, also, the triggers I was talking about would be alcohol, caffeine, spicy food, tomatoes, tomato sauces. Um, there's a few other things. I think smoking is one of them.
Hmm.
So when this is done in indulgence, right? And a lot of people will be like, oh, that's everything. Well, moderation. So if you're not being able to digest that and the lower esophageal sphincter is loosening,
Right.
then this is not what we want. And so we can move into the reflex health, but with what you're seeing in your patients, and also when I'm going into a Costco and I see an 800 square foot end cap of Prilosec and Pepcid, you know it's a huge issue in America. They're just like
Right.
little candies. Any
Oh
I can
yeah.
eat whatever I want. I can drink whatever I want because I'm just going to pop these. And so when we look at, I even have information from Dr. Stengler. We look at the risk factors, and they're like cognitive decline,
Hmm.
suppressing the stomach acid, which leads to in all issues with bone mass and all
Yeah.
of that. So tell me what you're seeing.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I was in Costco the other day, and there you can just get bulk omeprazole. I
I
couldn't
know you.
believe it. I couldn't
Yes.
believe it. And so,
I couldn't believe it either.
as you mentioned earlier, these are PPIs, proton pump inhibiting
Hmm.
medications, which significantly deplete nutrients. I mean, this is
Hmm.
just clear data in the research, like magnesium and zinc and copper and essential minerals. So,
Iron, B12 too.
yeah. And so that's all those things you mentioned earlier, like the smoking, the excess alcohol, and the greasy, fried, fatty, sugary
Yep.
foods combined. That all weakens the stomach acid, and then that causes the reflex to come up. A lot of people, Stacy, they make the mistake thinking it's because the stomach acid's getting too acidic that it comes up.
Right.
No, our stomach's supposed to be extremely acidic
Yes.
at
Yes.
3 pH or less, too, the hydrochloric acid. So tell us
Right.
a little bit about that. Does reflux health help make bring the pH back into balance in the stomach?
Well, that's an interesting question. I would say that lifestyle changes, first of
Okay.
all. So if somebody wants to wake up with a little glass of warm lemon water in the morning, that's very alkalizing because you're going to be very acidic in the morning when you wake
Right.
up, right? Just like you said, you don't want to be pounding alkaline water all darn day because
Yeah.
you need this balance in the gut and in everything in the heart. Whole homeostasis needs this balance. So the reflux health is just combined of three ingredients. It's a
Mm-hmm.
it's a patented ingredient. So Emerald Labs, first of all, is an additive-free company. Um, we're mainly using as much as possible for this for these new formulas. Dr. Mark Stangler is the formulator. So we're using a lot of patented trademark registered ingredients. And the reason is because we can stand behind the science on that, the clinical
Okay.
studies, right? It's going to say what it's going to do what it's going to say, excuse me.
Right.
So the patented ingredient in this product is something called Mucosave. And so Mucosave is combined of olive leaf and prickly pear cactus pad.
Hmm.
So think about kind of a mucinogenic. So those two combined, apparently, that's what it creates a mucoadhesive. Okay, so that mucoadhesive basically is creating a protective barrier along the upper GI tract. So it starts to get irritated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things get irritated from this acid. This is wear and tear. Again, if you have to get an endoscopy and you have inflammation, they're going to tell you all sorts of things to do. First, you're going to be on famotidine, you're going to be on omeprazole,
Okay.
and so you want to try to avoid that. And this product, I'm telling you through just a testimonial myself, and if you look at the people need to have the research on Mucosave. Let me just see if I can see mucoadhesion. It's so basically it's creating a mucoadhesive along the upper GI tract. But so prickly pear cactus pad, those are phytochemicals, and so they're really, really healing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're looking at there. It's calming the heartburn and the acid and regurgitation episodes. So people, oh, that's another thing. A lot of times people will eat some sugars that they've just eaten their whole life, and then all of a sudden they are just constantly belching like a trucker.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
also people can wake up just belching in the middle of the night, and it can get so bad because that acid is just kind of lying flat.
Oh
So
wow.
this
Yeah.
mucoadhesive, this Mucosave, okay, patented ingredient, is creating that mucosal protective barrier, okay, on the upper GI tract. And then we've got aloe vera extract in here, and we have deglycerized licorice. So the deglycerized licorice and the aloe vera, we're looking at healing and soothing because remember, I keep
Mm-hmm.
saying we want to prevent the scarring. Because
Yeah.
once you get to the scarring, you can no longer have those triggers ever again. And most likely they're going to want to do some kind of surgery for like a hiatal hernia that they'll see in there. And it's just, there you go. So do you want to have coffee in, once a month? Do you want to have a piece of pizza with the red sauce,
Right.
once a
Yeah.
month? It's just like that kind of stuff. But so the aloe vera promotes healing. It soothes the irritated lining of the esophagus. Okay. So healing and soothing, the aloe vera. It
Okay.
also helps as an anti-inflammatory along the digestive tract. Okay. And it's a good nutrient dense superfood for especially for people who aren't really being able to keep that much down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it nourishes, it's going to promote the detoxification and the normal bowel movements for people. Also, I've noted that aloe contains 8 important enzymes. And so this is what we're talking about. We're talking about digestion, we're talking about keeping the food down, keeping the acid down.
Mm-hmm.
And so it boosts digestion and nutrient absorption. Aloe vera also feeds off prebiotics and is a
Really
great source of prebiotics that feeds
interesting.
good gut bacteria. Very interesting. So, DGL licorice, why would we add this to the Reflux Health? Well, so this is deglycerized licorice. Okay, so if people concerned about licorice and high blood pressure, no need to worry. So it's a licorice extract that soothes and heals the stomach and the esophagus. Okay, it may not have the same degree of the side effects as glycerin. Okay, but it does cause high blood pressure and it stimulates the cell growth of the mucus layer. So that's important, stimulating the cell growth of the mucus
Mm-hmm.
layer. So we want all of that mucinogenic material. We
Right.
want it to be flowy,
Mm-hmm.
sticky, like an aloe vera inside of an aloe vera leaf,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the DGL promotes mucus activity, again, offering relief for acid reflux. This extra mucus may act as a barrier to the acid in the stomach and the esophagus, another barrier. And this barrier can also allow the damaged tissue to heal and prevent further occurrences of acid reflux. So
Wow.
that's just a formula that has DGL, just adds extra protection to soothe and protect the gastric mucosa and may be a better alternative than acid suppressing drugs that we're talking about, the PPIs and the H2 blockers,
Right.
for people suffering from gastric irritation or GERD.
Unbelievable. And all
There's
that's
three
in.
ingredients.
Right. The big three there, the Mucosave or Save, Mucosave,
Mucosave,
Mucosave, which has the prickly pear in there and the olive leaves together with the aloe vera extract and the DGL. And just like all other Emerald Health products, or Emerald Labs products, we have that raw whole food proprietary blend in there, about 50 milligrams per 2 capsules. We didn't talk about that in episode 6. Stacy, tell us about that raw whole food proprietary blend.
So that raw whole food blend is just for absorption, okay? And I'm not sure if it's an oh, I keep forgetting I'm
Oh,
on. Okay, it is on that one. Okay, want to make sure that it's not in all of them anymore. The newer ones are not having it as much. Can you hear me?
yep.
Okay. The raw whole food blend is just for absorption. We're just looking to increase that bioavailability.
Interesting. Yep.
Okay, so we've got organic sprouted raw protein powders. We've got probiotics, prebiotics, digestive enzymes,
Hmm.
superfruits. Um, Also, those probiotics are 200 million CFUs of B. bifidum and acidophilus. The prebiotics are derived from inulin, which is coming from chicory. The inulin is the fiber. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been noticing a little bit more allergies along that. I don't know if you're at sensitivity. So that is what the
Okay.
probiotic, but it's a very small amount
Right.
and it's noted on the supplement facts bottle. So depending on how many ingredients we're putting in that product, it may need a very small amount. This is just it. None of this of the raw whole food blend is meant to. Um, it's not meant to take a place of somebody's prebiotic or probiotic or organic protein powder. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. So again, as a study suggests, there's been a double-blind randomized control trial in the Mucosave, which has helped reduce the intensity and the frequency of reflux. Is that correct?
That is correct. I have noted that as significantly calms heartburn and acid. This is something you might be interested in for the prickly pear. So if we're talking about aloe vera leaf, right, the sticky mucogenic, right? So and then the DGL is creating the cell growth of the mucus
Mm-hmm.
layer. This is so fascinating to me because it all comes full circle.
Yeah.
The prickly pear cladote, it's just the prickly pear cactus pad. Okay, the inner gel from the prickly pear pad maintains a high water content by soothing mucous membranes with a mucoadhesive role, and its bitter compounds assist in detoxification. The major functions of mucus are that of protection and lubrication. And they're also large polyphenol content, so exhibiting antioxidant, anti-inflammatory properties.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the olive leaf, two natural chemical compounds known for hydrolysis, this is fascinating, like qualities,
Mm-hmm.
hydrolysis-like qualities. So oleuropenes and hydroxyxtyrosol contain high water content and produce depurative and detoxifying effects. So it's a great formula, folks. I mean, if you didn't get anything out of this with Dehan and I, is that proton pump inhibitors and H2 blockers suppress your vitamins or suppress most of your minerals that are beneficial. And you can do this naturally. And I was doing this. So right when I woke up, too, I carried it in my bag every time I ate, okay, before I went to bed. Then I also came across, depending on our time, Dehan, I came
Yeah.
across information on melatonin.
Okay.
So I combine 3 milligram time release of our melatonin that we have, and I came across this. Melatonin generated in the gastrointestinal tract has mucosal protective effects with inhibiting gastric acid secretion, while increasing gastrin release, which in turn stimulates the contractility of lower esophageal sphincter, the LES.
Okay.
So, okay, and it goes on and on about it, melatonin, when combined with other anti-ulcer drugs like omeprazole, has a beneficial effect as it accelerates the healing effects of omeprazole and shortens the duration of treatment. Therefore, melatonin reduces the side effects and increases the efficacy of omeprazole. And that's if
Mm.
somebody really wants to do what the doctor said, do it for the 3 months, but they can go on with the melatonin. I do the time release. Okay.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
what I understand for this melatonin is that it's creating a mucosal barrier, just like the Mucosave.
Right.
Okay. And then it's also going a step further, is it's going up to the LES, the lower esophageal sphincter, and it's training it to shut and tighten again.
Yeah. So people don't have that on their radar when it comes to melatonin. They just think
No,
sleep, right?
this
Sleep,
is why
but
I want to
gut
keep
health.
talking. And immune health. And think about immune health is gut health,
Right.
right? This is so important if people need to start to research more on melatonin and what it can be. So when I came across this article, my eyes were like cartoon, just seriously like, Oh my God. So acid reflux and melatonin. And so I tried it. There's also something that I read, a scientific study that I found this morning, how fast it helps with how fast it
How quickly it takes effect.
how quickly it takes effect. Yes. So for me, I could notice within a week, and also I just read this somewhere this morning. It was in with 7 days of taking melatonin, people felt symptoms completely like change
Wow.
in a good
There's that.
beneficial
Yeah.
way.
And this is a good part one. Next time we speak, we want to dive into the
Mm.
digestive health product. It's important. We dedicated an entire episode to gastroesophageal reflux health, right? Because so many people are suffering from this, and we broke down the individual ingredients in that reflux health product. And that has melatonin in it, or it's separate?
It's separate. It's
Got it.
just the reflux health. I mean, the reflux health is the Mucosave, the deglycerized licorice, and the
The
aloe
aloe.
vera extract. So we're looking at mucus protective, you know, creation around there.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
people just need to look away from the those risk factors, right? Would be smoking, sometimes a lot of aspirin, um, excessive alcohol, caffeine. You got to know what your stomach, well, you got to know when your tummy feels good after what you ingest. And if it doesn't feel good and doesn't feel right, you think you need to tame that. I think people need to do research on their PPIs,
Yeah.
um, their omeprazole and their famotidine, or their Pepcid and Prolosec. And just remember too, when the PPIs suppress your stomach acid, you could be deficient in magnesium, vitamin C, B12, calcium, iron, copper, which a lot of times can lead to bone issues.
Perfect place to leave it there, folks. If you're in healthy habit right now, look for the Reflux Health product. It's separate from the Digestive Health product. So we're not there yet. We just
Oh,
talked about the acid coming up, that
stay
lower
tuned.
esophageal sphincter that opens up in times of stress, and then melatonin as well. So two separate products there through Emerald Labs. Stacy Faulkner, thank you so much for your time coming on today.
Thanks, Dehan. Have a great month.